Everything comes back down to the money. But I think it's important for us to have this conversation. And the reason why I chose this story um, towards the end of the show is because a lot of people are going to be depending on Social Security to maintain their lifestyle. Social Security and Medicaid once they age out. Did you know that the average person has less than $30,000 saved for retirement? The average person has less than $30,000 saved for retirement. That means by the time that you get 69 and a half, some of y'all is taking it at 65, 70, 71. You just hoping to hold on. You haven't even paid in a significant amount enough into Social Security in order to get a decent payout. You're going to be dependent on Medicaid. Some of y'all got son husbands that y'all hoping to make it into the NBA and that's going to take care of y'all. And most people do not have a plan for now or the future. Here's the worst part about it. Social Security is not even guaranteed to be around once you get old enough to get it. Social Security is not even guaranteed to be around once you old enough to get it. What we have happening in the system today is we're paying for the people that are retiring tomorrow. By the time that we get there, we're largely going to be dependent on the federal government and the people that came before us or come after us to then fund our Social Security because it's literally just robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's why every time you see a budget negotiation, every time they start talking about the debt ceiling going up, they say, and we've made sure that we've given enough money in the budget over to Social Security. Go check Biden's last speech of why he gave in and all of this other type of stuff is because we don't have enough money put up for our retirement, and as a result, we're going to suffer for it. But I'm not dependent on that. If it comes, cool. I paid into it. I deserve it. My money went into it for all of these years since I was 18 years old. I deserve my Social Security check because it's mine, right? But I'm not going to depend on it because I'm never going to put my fate in somebody else's hands in order for me to be taken care of. So I've always had a long-term view and a short-term view of what success looks like. Let's get into it. I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show. Thank y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. If you have not subscribed to the Patreon, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I want to get down to the money, y'all. We got to get down to the money. If we don't talk about nothing, we have to get down to the money. All right? Again, make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Whether directly or indirectly, Social Security has likely touched your life or the life of someone you know. A retired teacher, disabled construction worker, wounded warrior, or maybe the family of someone who passed away. It's more than likely, if you have a full-time job, a chunk of your paycheck goes towards Social Security.
Have y'all ever looked at y'all paycheck and wondered, who the fuck are all of these people? Who is FICA? I don't even know FICA. Who is FICA? And why is FICA taking so much money out of my check? Y'all ever seen the Social Security line and how much come out? Hey, when you first got that $100,000, you jumped from 70 to 100, and you jumped from a 12% tax bracket into the 22% tax bracket, and you realized that it wasn't that much of a difference in your paycheck and your biweekly paycheck, and then you was disappointed. Have you ever looked at your check and it was like, damn, I make 100,000, but I ain't living like 100,000. You ever looked at your paycheck and was like, God damn it, who is FICA and who is all of these people that's taking money out of my check? Shout out to Chris, the one I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly.
Biggest single source of income for American retirees. Without Social Security, older Americans would have a poverty rate of 38%. In reality, they have a poverty rate of 10%.
In 2023, nearly 70 million Americans will receive a Social Security benefit every month. For the year, that's more than $1 trillion. It's most crucial for the 22 million Americans.
$1 trillion. That's what y'all asking for in reparations. Give me $7 trillion.
It keeps out of poverty. That's including nearly 15 million seniors and 1 million children. It's a lifeline for millions of Americans. But there are some concerns.
Do you know that Social Security is going to be insolvent in 2035?
It is not going to be. That is
Yes,
not
it
true.
will.
That is actually not
what
true.
the numbers
No, it's
say.
actually not
Now,
true.
It's not the first time that we've had a discussion on a national level about Social Security's solvency. The good news is that it has been fixed before.
So, is Social Security going to run out? The short answer is no. But if it was as simple as that, we wouldn't have made this 13-minute video. The first monthly Social Security check was cashed in 1940 for $22.54. Fast forward to 2022, the average monthly benefit for a retired worker was $1,825.
Can you imagine living off of $1,800 a month? That's why you see a lot of these older people in Walmart. A lot of people retire just to suffer. A lot of people retire just to suffer. And then they say, well, I'm going to get a part-time job just to get me over. Next thing you know, you got niggas hitting them over the head, trying to get some bananas on the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to get up every day. You supposed to be in your twilight years enjoying yourself. And you got to get up every day. You know why? You know why? Look at Rita. Look at Rita.
Hi.
You stealing money? Jesus.
For a good cause.
For a good cause, huh? Here, you might as well take some more just in case you need it. Just bring me back whatever you don't use.
Thank you.
Now you got to get a second job.
Where does all that money come from? Social Security is largely a pay-as-you-go program. That means today's benefits are funded primarily by the payroll taxes collected from current workers. Self-employed Americans pay 12.4% of their wages to the government, while employed Americans pay 6.2%. That's on everything they earn up to a certain amount. In 2023, the cap is $160,200.
So every single year for the rest of your life, you're going to pay at least 6.5%, basically. 12% if you're self-employed. So if you got your own business, you're going to pay 12%. But every single year for the rest of your life, until the day that you start to collect, you are going to be paying 6.2% of your paycheck. And they hope and they pray that you pass away before you get the true benefits from it, because then they can roll that money into it and hopefully they can start to make Social Security solvent.
And employers match that amount.
Social Security is extremely important for Americans. The Social Security payroll tax is the biggest tax that most Americans pay.
Researchers estimate a single male with average earnings of about $59,000 retiring at age 65 in 2025 will have paid more than $340,000 in Social Security taxes during his lifetime. Those taxes then go into two federal trust funds, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance and Disability Insurance Trust Funds. They're often referred to collectively as the Social Security Trust Fund and are invested in U.S. Treasury securities.
How many of y'all knew this? I'm just curious, because a lot of people, I don't know how y'all see this stuff coming out of y'all paycheck and you don't start doing it. The first time that I ever seen a paycheck and I seen all of that money come out, I started doing a deep dive and started doing some research on where my money was going and why I was getting it taken out. I needed to understand, because at a very early age, I understood it all came back down to the money. Most people, shout out to John Wick. I'm gonna be reading that super chat shortly. That's funny. Most people, ironically enough, don't even care enough to actually find out what the hell is going on, and so they just get money taken out of their paycheck. And then they don't even question it. They don't even see who doing it, why they did it, none of that type of stuff. They just get money taken out of their paycheck, and that's the end of the conversation. I don't know how y'all can get money taken out of y'all paycheck. Shout out to Mike, that dude on Cash App. I appreciate you, big dog. I don't know how y'all can get money taken out of y'all paycheck and y'all don't actually take time out to research who's taking it out. I'm going to be reading Cash Apps also shortly.
Starting Starting in the mid-'80s, the Social Security Administration collected more in payroll taxes and other income than it paid out in benefits and other expenses. And that
Starting in the 80s. Keep this in mind. Come on, y'all. Let's use our context clues. I'm a C student, but I pretend to be smarter than I am sometimes. The first Social Security paycheck was issued in the 40s. In the 80s, 40 plus years later, they started taking in more money than they were dispersing, meaning that it's a pyramid scheme. Not technically, but just for the sake of conversation, because it's easier to be able to explain it to you guys. That means that money is coming in, and as it's coming in, they spitting it out to the other people that allegedly paid into it that gets less benefits. And then the more that they take in, and especially if you pass away, that means that they got more money to rob Peter with in order to pay Paul.
lasted for more than 3 decades. Asset reserves for the combined funds were at $2.9 trillion at the end of 2020.
Social Security is invested in government bonds, and government bonds are a very safe investment. They're backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government.
Meaning that they're backed in our belief in our current currency. So as long as we believe in the fiat dollar, right? As long as we believe in it, then we'll be fine. Because our trust in it allows for us to actually be able to continue to trade it for goods and services and put the value that we have in it. As long as you believe in fiat currency, and this is why they say it's backed by the government, because it's so safe, because our own best interest is based off of our belief in our currency system and the U.S. Treasury.
And they do grow over time, and so Social Security has benefited from interest income over time.
Social Security's structure relies on the ratio of workers to retirees. There needs to be enough current workers paying in to fund the benefits of those aging into the program. So what happens when there are more people retiring than there are working and paying taxes?
Which is why it's important for them to keep you in the system. They need you working, right? It's another reason why they don't depend on you to pay it voluntarily. See, you can adjust your taxes, you can adjust your withholdings, how many dependents you have, whether or not you're filing for exempt or not. You can owe the federal government and they could charge you interest on it, but that Social Security stuff, that's not voluntary. That's coming out automatically. Social Security is coming out automatically. You know why? Because they need that money in order to fund what it is that they're doing for the people that's retiring today.
Well, that's exactly what we're dealing with now.
Back in 1950, there were 16 workers paying into Social Security for each person collecting benefits. But over time, the aging of the population has reduced that ratio of workers to beneficiaries. In the early 2000s, it was 3 workers per beneficiary. Going forward to the 2030s, it'll only be 2 workers for each retiree.
Which is another reason why they're trying to incentivize y'all to have children. Not the smart people, the wise people. Right? When we have these conversations and I say you can't afford children, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to put you in this perpetual system. That's more than just what it is that you're earning from a benefits perspective or what it is that you're paying into all of these different things such as Social Security. They need you to go and sweep the floors, go and get our Starbucks, so on and so forth, right? And they need more workers, not just because of what it is that we're trying to build and manufacturing and competing with the world, population. They need more workers to continue to pour into the things that we then have this Ponzi scheme set up for in order to remain solvent for the amount of money that we pour into these systems. Right? Social Security stays solvent not because, hey, I paid into it, now I'm about to draw out of it, is that you're paying into it in order to keep it solvent for the people that's already in it. They need you to have more children because they need more slaves to the system. They need you to have more children. And so when y'all sit here, I know that you're indoctrinated by what's already being put into you subconsciously. When you say, well, we can have kids, you can raise a child on $40,000 a year. Yeah, they're going to incentivize you to have kids. Why do you think that they give you more benefits as a result of you having children versus the people that don't? You ever thought about that shit? Why would they give more money to the people that don't deserve it than the people that's being more responsible? You never paid attention to all the residual benefits that come along with people having children, not for the person that's having children, you're going to suffer more. But residual benefits against the people that, or for the people that is running these systems. Have you ever thought about that? Why would they incentivize and give you more benefits for more children that you have? Unlocking, right? This is why we the greatest morning show on earth, because not only do we get to the fuckery and we show you how we come back down to the money, but we also address relative issues so that you can start to see it even from a C student's perspective. The reason why they incentivize you to have more children is because it benefits them long term based off of the things like, and this is just one of a trillion examples, like Social Security, because they need you paying into the system that they're then going to use to ensure that you're retiring comfortably outside of poverty and not homeless, and then benefiting as a result of it, and all of the people that's managing these funds. Come on, man. Wake up. Wake up. They need more workers, and more workers breed, and it keeps the system going.
That makes the program much, much more costly to fund.
Due to a decline in the birth rate after
See,
the
look,
boom,
and this is how they keep them up. Look, Jari says, but it's your duty as a man to have kids. Fuck out of here. And as long as we got niggas that's saying shit like this, we don't have to listen. This is what I know for sure. We don't have to ever worry about anybody selling us on something or the government. We do a good enough job ourselves. He's already a part of the matrix, and he don't even know it. He think that he had this thought for himself. He think that he came up with this great idea and this narrative, and that he's saying this in the chat right now for himself. He don't even know that he's been programmed and conditioned to be a nigga his whole life. And this is why he say shit like this. And you don't ever have to worry about it, because all of the people that's niggas and degenerates are going to continue to be the ones that push the system forward, and you don't ever have to worry about cultural change. You don't ever have to worry about niggas not asking for reparations. You ain't never got to worry about Social Security becoming insolvent. You ain't never got to worry about the people that's giving us our food inside of the drive-thru and I want my motherfucking fries hot. I ain't never got to worry about it, because no matter how much I educate you, and no matter how much I give you the game, and no matter how much I give you how it breaks down and come back down to the money, there's always going to be a nigga in there, right? And there's more of them, even though it's not a whole lot of them over here, because we recondition, we unlearn that shit, and then we start to have a conversation on how you can actually better yourself. There's always going to be more of them, loud as fuck on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, all of them. It's always going to be more of them than it is of us. So what our responsibility is not to try to convince them differently, but to source the information so that we can benefit personally, right? We're going to be the ones that benefit. So listen, I want you to continue to have, this is what he don't understand. Me educating you doesn't mean that I'm not benefiting from your ignorance. I want you to get your house foreclosed on. You know why? Because that is the house that I'm going to buy and then put you in there as a tenant to continue to pay me for the rest of your life. I want you to get your car repossessed because I'm going to be the one that benefits as a result of you doing it. I want you to continue to have children out of wedlock. I want there to be more single baby mamas. I want there to continue to be people having children that make less than $40,000 a year, because I need you sweeping my floors. I need you getting my lattes. I need you to make sure that you're my valet. I need you to make sure that you're coming into my house and cleaning up. I need more maids. I need more DoorDash drivers. I need more Uber drivers. I need more people to do the shit that I want them to do that I don't feel like doing, because I don't have to pay you shit compared to what it is that I make. I need more people to be irresponsible so that you can make sure that I'm solvent when I get old enough to get Social Security. Don't be a dumbass. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Stop saying dumb shit. Listen, before you type in the chat next time, think about what you're going to say before you say it. Because I'm trying to educate you on something that's actually going to benefit you. See, I'm not sitting here debating you niggas. I know what I know. I'm already there. You don't sit and debate the person that's giving you the game. You sit to shut the fuck up and you listen. And you say, yes, I feel you. Turn to your neighbor and say, yep, I get it, Anton. What makes niggas think that I want to debate them over something that I already know? You just now waking the fuck up. You got Similac on your breath.
We now have more people receiving benefits than we have paying taxes. In 2010, when Social Security's cost was exceeding its non-interest income, the agency had to tap into the interest. That still wasn't enough, and in 2021, the agency started to dip into the actual trust funds. Now, that $2.9 trillion worth of Treasury securities is dwindling. So much so that the Social Security Board of Trustees projected in its annual report that the combined asset reserves of the trust funds will become depleted in 2034. That means if no action is taken before then, millions of Americans will receive only 80% of their benefits.
That would dramatically increase the number of retirees in poverty. So Social Security solvency isn't just a matter of federal bookkeeping, it is a matter of how we protect Americans who depend on this program the most.
At the end of 2022, the asset reserves had reached $2.83 trillion, down about $20 billion from just a year prior.
This is the point that I want to emphasize to you guys, all right? This is the point that I want to emphasize, and then we're going to get up out of here. All right? I'm going to read Super Chat shortly. What am I trying to convince you of? We don't need to see the whole video. I'm not interested in seeing the whole video. I just want to give you the fundamentals. Is that I don't want you guys depending on the federal government in order to ensure that you solvent, you comfortable, you can live the life that you want to live for the rest of your life. That is a duress mindset. That is a survivalist mindset. At some point, you have to evolve and graduate beyond being a survivalist and under duress to thriving. A thriving mindset to living a life of abundance. And when you live in a life of abundance, you say, your mindset is generally this. Listen, if it's there, dope. But I'm not banking on it or depending on it in order for me to be able to thrive and do what it is that I want to do. Everything that I do and everything that I build is not dependent on trying to figure out whether or not the government is going to support me. I got me. I got us. And I'm going to continue to do the thing that's in the best interest of my people. All right?